Well, what do we have here, Newcastle fans? They don't get much bigger than title chasing Arsenal coming to Champions League chasing Newcastle in a match that probably the whole world is going to be watching. I'm not going to lie, in the words of Jacob Murphy, this is a juicy one and a one I'm looking forward to. And this could be the day, if we could get pull off 3 points against Arsenal, where we could basically make Champions League ours. We really, really could. The Arsenal match previews coming up, Newcastle fans, so do us a favour, make sure you stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you lovely Toon fans. If you are new to Black and White Banter, then hello, nice to meet you. This is my face, this is what I do, I talk about Newcastle on videos. So do us a favour, give us one of them, even if you're not new and you're one of my beautiful subscribers. And if you like my opinion by the end of this match preview, whack that subscribe button. It's big. This one is big. It's been a wonderful season, wonderful couple of weeks supporting Newcastle. 3 wins in 7 days. We had 3 wins in 6 days, not too long before that. Apart from that Aston Villa game, there's been hardly any bumps in the road with this Newcastle team under Eddie Howe so far this season. And it looks like this has a feel as one of the biggest games at St. James's Park this season. Everyone's going to be watching, as I said at the start of this video. Title race, Champions League. Can Man City pretty much seal it, who are currently beating Leeds as I make this video, so they're pulling right away. So Arsenal need to win, because there's no teams doing Arsenal favours against City. It's huge. And for us, if we could get a win, again, as I said at the start of this, I think it's not only a huge statement if we can beat Arsenal, who've been fantastic all season, it's us pretty much with a foot and a half in the door of the Champions League, I would say, genuinely. Especially after Man United got beat against Brighton. I know Liverpool are still knocking on that door. They've had loads of wins back-to-back, but we've got Leicester to play, Leeds to play, Chelsea, who aren't under Lampard, make what you want of that. This is a huge game. And before I touch on the tactical side of how I think this game's going to go and the team selections, do you know what I think is going to be a crucial factor in this match? This game has a very different feel to it. Those unique nights at St. James's Park, or days, sorry, in this case, afternoons, bank holiday Sunday, it just has that feel to it. The same feel that I got when we played Man United not too long ago. And what was constructed from that was one of the best performances I've seen under Eddie Howe. We had the same vibe when we played Arsenal last time, but we weren't chasing very much back then. It was just our last game of the season. It was almost a celebration of everything that had happened because we'd been taken over, and we stayed up and everything was looking rosy in the garden with the flags in one of the best things I've ever witnessed. And Arsenal were absolutely destroyed that day. But whatever it is about these special match days, Sky Sports, 4:30, huge game, everyone going to the pub that bit earlier, everyone a little bit nervy. The atmosphere, I've got no doubts about it, on Sunday will just be that next level up. And whatever you want to bottle that up and call it, whether it's a bottle of Geordie, whatever you want to call it, that Geordie spirit that's been created by War Flags. The scarves are being asked to be brought on Sunday, which doesn't surprise me at all. I'm all for it. I mean, I might not take my own. I might wave my jacket. I'm not much of a scarf wearer, especially on a decent afternoon in St. James's Park when the weather's quite nice. But I understand why they're doing it. The flag displays will be out. And I think what we'll create on Sunday brings the players up just that extra 5%. Maybe Murphy leaving a ball to go out for a throw-in runs that little bit harder to try and keep it in. And that transcends down to the crowd. And we have been responsible for those performances to some degree, I think. Man United game on that Sunday was huge. It was huge, and the atmosphere was incredible before the game. And for me, that's the reason that St. James's Park at the moment is one of the hardest places to go in world football, because what is being created before the game, during the game, and the fact that's transcending down to the players, not only does the crowd and the atmosphere put the shits up the opposition, it raises the game of our players. And I think if we can create what we created against Man United, what we created against Spurs to a degree, I still think Man United was probably up there as the best. Maybe Chelsea when we beat them 1-0 before the World Cup when Willock scored the winner. These are the special days at St. James's Park at the moment, in my opinion, and the atmosphere tomorrow, because of everything riding on it, will be absolutely incredible. So that is a big factor tomorrow for me. Just what can be done in that stadium and the atmosphere and the vibes in that stadium that transcend down, and that's what makes me absolutely blessed to be a part of that, and I cannot wait for the game tomorrow. So that's a factor. What I don't want to transfix on too much, which I think a lot of Newcastle fans have from what I've seen on social media, is what happened last season. Yes, we beat them. Yes, we destroyed them. Yes, they bottled it. But it's two different teams now, and I agree. Eddie Howe said the same thing in his press conference, and I agree. Arsenal this season, for the most of it, I know they've got that bottle it streak in them, and that's happened maybe a little bit more recently, but they are a very, very good footballing team, and a very different football team that came to the one that came to St. James's Park last year. Similarly, we're a different team. We're better. But I'm not thinking too much about what happened last May. That's gone. That's done. This is a different football match in itself. And I think Arsenal will play a lot more free-flowing on Sunday, and they'll really come at us, but we won't sit back like we did at the Emirates at the start of January that had Arteta crying about the dark arts and all that shite, and he's mentioned it again in his press conference. We'll go for it as well. And I think for the neutral who will be watching this game, I think all football neutrals will be tomorrow, I think it could potentially be a special match. We saw what happened when we played Man City at St. James's Park in September. That beautiful 3-3 draw that we probably should have won. It has the feel like it could be a little bit like that. But if we can start, and the start is so important with this Newcastle team, with the intensity, not giving them a minute on the ball, I think we can do it. I do. I'll touch on my prediction as the video goes on, because I'm still going to sit a little bit on the fence. Now, with regards to tactically, where I think we can win the battles in this game, I look at Arsenal's midfield. So in the last match when they beat Chelsea, they played Xhaka, and they also played Jorginho. Now, I'm looking at their midfielders, and I don't see agile midfielders. I think if you can get in their grill, get on them from the first whistle, like Joe Linton will, like Joe Willock can, like Sean Longstaff, who's been so integral for us this season. I'm glad that's starting to be recognised a little bit more now. I think we can win the midfield battle. We know what Jack is like. Yes, he's a lot better for them now, but he's only good for Arsenal when things are going well for Arsenal. When shit hits the fan, as we saw when Man City battered them a couple of weeks ago, he loses his head a little bit and he gets very whingy, very whiny, and it goes out the window. And that captain material that he's maybe being talked about more now is only when things are good. He's not someone for me that you want in the barracks next to you when things aren't going so well. And we can really get at that. Bruno can pull the strings, and then let Joey and Sean Longstaff do all that dirty stuff in midfield. Joe Willock doesn't need a reason to be up for this match. It's the team that never really gave him a chance. Probably didn't think he was good enough, if truth be told. How good has he been for us? Wouldn't it be lovely if Joe Willock could put on an absolute star performance like he has been doing recently on that left-hand side, floating around. He's been quite good in front of goal. I'd love to see it. So I think the midfield battles we can win. He might go with Partey. Odegaard, on the other hand, that's someone we need to look out for. I really rate Odegaard. I think he's been brilliant for Arsenal this year. I'm not surprised he's in the team of the season. He's a very good footballer. He's a creative footballer. But with any creative footballer, you cut off that sauce, that limits their front three. Dan Burn against Saka, going off that front three, I'm a little bit worried about that. I think it's not a matchup that I'm necessarily a fan of, and I hope Dan Burn can put one on him in proper old school style quite early on in this match. On the other side, will he go with Martinelli? Will he go with Trossard? Two very good footballers. We need Kieran Trippier again to have a very good footballer match. I think he's been better in the final third in some areas with his crossing more recently than what he actually has been defensively. And I might get some stick for that. I've said that on a couple of videos now since the turn of the year. We need him to be on point. That's some big battles. Jesus against Botman and Shea, I'm not as worried about. I think he's that tricky kind of striker, but not in the same way that Mr. Alexander Isak is for us. I think he can be dealt with by them too, so I'm not so worried about that battle. But let's talk more about what we can do to them. Now, team for me, back four will probably pick itself. Midfield, I would go for what has stood us in such good stead. I would go exactly the same team that played against Man United. Exactly the same team. I want Joe Linton in there, I want Bruno in there, I want Longstaff in there, and then I want Willock and Joe Linton on the left-hand side switching, which is so good. It confuses defenders, and they'd be going up against Ben White, who again's had a good season, but I think they can really put one on him, not knowing who to mark, not knowing who to go tight to, supporting each other and overlapping each other. Isak has to play tomorrow for me. Isak will be thriving off a game like this. He grew up loving Thierry Henry. There's comparisons there. It's against Arsenal. Everyone's watching the game. I don't care what anyone says. Sky cameras get players up for matches more. They do. They know they are on the world stage when the Sky cameras are around for a Sunday afternoon. Isak for me. Jacob Murphy on the right to really get all over Zinchenko like a bad smell. And just that high press. The intensity. Hold the ball, meaningful with the ball. Bruno will be on point tomorrow because, again, he knows the significance of this match. He wants to really put on a show against Brazilian teammates as well. And I know we can do it. This is the thing about tomorrow's match. I've watched Arsenal more recently. I watched West Ham get a draw against them. They beat Chelsea the other night, but that was an absolutely piss-poor Chelsea team. We can win this football match. We need a bit of luck on our side, as you always do. We need to be solid as houses defensively, which for the part we have. And with that crowd, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, with that crowd and that atmosphere that's done us so well and made Fortress St. James's Park a fucking absolute nightmare to visit, we can win this football match tomorrow. And my God, would that be a huge statement for Newcastle United Football Club? Would it not? Step up and take notice, everyone. We're in town. We're fantastic, and we are only going to get better after that transfer window. It's a lovely thought, 3 points tomorrow, but having said that, we are still coming up against one of the best teams in the Premier League this season, and that can't be discredited just because we beat them last season. Different side for me. Different side. Different animal. Do I think we are going to win? I think we can, and I think there's a very big difference for me tomorrow. It's a draw or a win for me. I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1. I think the crowd is going to play that part. We can get over the line, and we need to be solid as houses defensively. If we absolutely shit on their midfield from the get-go, that's one of the problems taken care of. And I think that front three of Saka, maybe Martinelli and Jesus will become isolated. And an isolated front three means so much to us because that means we can really push on and try and take them 3 points. It promises to be a good day. It really, really does. Arsenal fans seem confident. It cannot be underestimated, and I don't care whether I'm biased because I'm a Newcastle United YouTube channel. St. James's Park is one of the hardest places to go, and if you thought last season was bad, we are better than that. We've added more quality, and we are a better footballing team than what you had to deal with at St. James's Park last season. The flags are going to be waving, the beers are going to be sank from lunchtime onwards, the noise is going to be loud. So if you're ready for that Arsenal, then come and give us a game. If you're not prepared for that, you are going to be absolutely fucked tomorrow. And I just hope the Newcastle team that played against Manchester United 3 weeks ago now shows up on Sunday. If that's the Newcastle that shows up, we can win this football match. If we see the slow start we saw at Southampton, not so much. And I think the occasion will get that Newcastle team that we saw against Manchester United and against Spurs. I really, really do. And I cannot wait to get in there. Come on, the boys. Newcastle fans, let us know your thoughts for this huge game in the comments. Let us know whether you think we can do it. Let us know what your team would be. An honourable mention as well, St. Maximin being back in the squad on the bench tomorrow could be huge. This is the kind of game that Alan St. Maximin thrives off. He loves the big ones. We know he does. If he came on as a second half impacted substitute, that could be massive. That could be a big game changer depending on how the match is going. So that's another point I almost forgot to mention there. That's a nice addition for a football match like this. As I said, let us know your thoughts in the comments, Newcastle fans. If you've stuck around this long, whack that subscribe. Of course, there's going to be a match vlog coming. Bank holiday Sunday. Hopefully another sunny day. Hopefully plenty cheerful fans talking about us basically being in the Champions League and we waving those cockneys off back to London a title short because it would basically be Man City's. Fingers crossed, lads, and I'll see you on that match vlog. However, lads.